So this is your first hunt. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Predator, Badlands, 2025, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, marks a bold reinvention within the long-running Predator franchise. Rather than centering on humans hunted by the alien predator, this film shifts perspective completely, giving us Dek, a young Yautja, predator, who has been cast out from his clan. Through Dek's journey, the film explores themes of belonging, honor, survival, and unexpected friendship, all set against the backdrop of a remote, hostile alien world known as Jenna. Dek is not the typical predator. He is smaller than his peers, deemed weak, even called a runt by his own people. This isn't just a physical struggle. Culturally, the Yautja value strength above all. In their warrior society, any sign of vulnerability can mean death or banishment. Dek's father, a powerful clan leader, sees Dek's weakness as an embarrassment. His older brother, Quay, embodies the expectations that Dek fails to meet. Feeling trapped and judged, Dek is determined to prove himself, to earn a place at the table, to show that he belongs. But his path to redemption is not easy. The clan sends him on what many believe is a suicide mission, to journey to Jenna, an alien planet of immense danger, and to hunt the fabled Kalisk, a creature of legendary ferocity and power. The Kalisk is reputed to be nearly unbeatable, and bringing back its trophy, its spine or head, would restore Dek's honor in an almost ritualistic way. Once Dek arrives on Jenna, the scale and hostility of this world become immediately clear. It is a living, breathing ecosystem of death. Every plant, every animal seems ready to kill. The terrain challenges him, the fauna is alien and unpredictable. It's not just physical strength that will carry him through, he must learn, adapt, survive, not in a clean training ground, but in a raw, savage wilderness. It's in this brutal place that he meets Thaya, who is an android or synthetic created by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, linking this film to a broader sci-fi mythos. But Thaya is damaged, she's missing the lower half of her body, so Dek literally carries her on his back. Their alliance is born out of necessity, she knows the terrain, the lifeforms, and the dangers of Jenna, he has the strength and the predator instincts. They are unlikely partners, but their survival depends on working together. Thaya's story is not just about survival. She has her own motivations. There's her sister, Tessa, another Weyland-Yutani synth, who is in stark contrast to Thaya. Tessa represents a darker, more ruthless side of the corporation, one that's willing to use any means, including violence, to achieve its goals. This sister dynamic adds emotional and moral complexity to the plot, revealing that the synthetic world is not monolithic, there is conflict, control, and a hierarchy within their creators' designs. As Dek and Thaya make their way deeper into Jenna, they face monstrous beasts, aggressive flora, and a landscape that seems to conspire against them. One particularly touching relationship develops when they encounter Bud, a creature roughly the size of a large dog, who shows a surprising fondness for Dek. Bud marks Dek as part of its own clan, a symbolic moment that resonates with Dek's longing for belonging. Yet, holding on to this bond challenges Dek's idea of what a predator is supposed to be, a lone hunter, a warrior above all. The journey builds toward a climactic confrontation with the Kalisk. Dek eventually manages to sever its head, an act that should be a ritualistic triumph, a moment of glory. But the Kalisk's regenerative abilities come into play, the creature reattaches its head, reviving itself. In that critical moment, the Kalisk hesitates. It pauses, somehow sensing something on Dek. Then Tessa intervenes, freezing both combatants. Tessa is commanded by her creators to capture the creature, adding psychological tension to the confrontation. Seeing Thaya trapped by her sister's ruthless ambition, Dek's allegiance shifts. Thaya's sacrifice, risking or giving up her own existence, becomes a turning point. In that moment, Dek realizes that this journey is bigger than personal honor. It's about connection, identity, and perhaps a family of sorts. When he reunites with Bud, he discovers a startling truth: Bud is not just a wild alien, Bud is related to the Kalisk. In fact, he may be part of its lineage. The Kalisk spared Dek earlier because Bud marked him. There's a bond deeper than rivalry, more profound than hunter and prey, family. Throughout the film, visual storytelling plays a crucial role. Nearly every shot emphasizes the alien planet's harshness and beauty. The flora and fauna are central to Dek's survival and growth. This is not a Predator movie that simply drops its hunter into a jungle, it drops him into a hostile ecosystem that demands respect, adaptation, and intelligence. Dan Trachtenberg brings a clear vision. He wanted to tell a Predator story from within the Predator culture. He approached the film as a mythic, almost spiritual journey. He and screenwriter Patrick Eisen crafted a story that draws on influences as wide as westerns, post-apocalyptic world-building, and even video games like Shadow of the Colossus. These inspirations shine through in the film's pacing, visuals, and tone. It's as much a coming-of-age epic as it is a sci-fi action thriller. The music score, composed by Sarah Schachner and Benjamin Wallfish, complements this vision. Their work helps elevate the emotional stakes, the loneliness of Dek, the gentle yet determined spirit of Thaya, the looming threat of the Kalisk, all underscored by a score that balances danger and wonder. Cinematographer Jeff Cutter contributes to the film's distinctive visuals, framing the planet's landscapes as vast, dangerous, and strangely beautiful, while editors Stefan Grube and David Trachtenberg ensure that action and character moments flow with weight and purpose. One of the most striking aspects of Predator, Badlands is its PG-13 rating, a departure from many earlier Predator films that leaned into graphic violence and gore. Here, instead of red human blood, the violence is alien, the brutality is vivid, but the filmmakers use color creatively. This rating choice broadens the film's potential audience, without compromising the intensity of the Predator mythos. Critically, Predator, Badlands has been well received. Reviewers praise Trachtenberg's bold turn. He turns a classic monster into a sympathetic protagonist, giving the audience someone to root for. What makes Badlands feel new isn't just the shift in perspective, it's the emotional stakes, the alien world design, and the bond between Dek and Thaya. From a box office point of view, Badlands has made a strong impression. It opened to around $40 million in North America in its first weekend, and similarly pulled in $40 million internationally, for a global debut of about $80 million. This marks one of the biggest openings in the franchise's history. That level of success suggests there's real audience appetite for this kind of Predator story, one that blends action with heart, mythology with character, danger with introspection. Audience reactions reflect that this gamble paid off. The emotional arc, the fresh perspective, and the world-building appear to have resonated with viewers. The future for the Predator franchise seems promising. Trachtenberg has indicated that Badlands is not an endpoint but part of a larger vision. Whether that means sequels, further exploration of Yautja culture, or crossover threads with the alien universe remains to be seen, but the groundwork laid by Badlands is fertile and bold. One particularly interesting aspect is Trachtenberg's willingness to engage with the language and mythos of the Yautja. Even though he does not speak Yautja himself, he treats their language and culture with respect, as if he's building a mythological epic. This elevates the film beyond simply a sci-fi action movie. It becomes a piece of world building, with its own beliefs, rituals, and social order. There's also the question of legacy. If Badlands continues to succeed, it could reshape how we think about Predator films. Rather than being monster versus human fare, the franchise might evolve into something more mythic, more character-driven, perhaps even more philosophical. The idea of a Predator hero, a Predator protagonist, opens the door for stories that explore honor, clan dynamics, and even interspecies empathy. One particularly emotional moment is when Dek forms a bond with Bud, the creature he initially sees as prey or simply another alien being. Bud's marking of Dek symbolizes acceptance, a sign that even in this savage world, the Predator may find belonging beyond his clan. This moment is more than just survival, it's about spiritual family and redefining what it means to be part of a clan. The dynamic between Thaya and Tessa adds another layer. Thaya, carried by Dek, vulnerable yet resilient, contrasts sharply with Tessa, who represents the ruthless ambition of the synthetic corporation. Tessa's coldness, her obedience, and her willingness to use violence make her a formidable antagonist. Her relationship with Dec is not simply adversarial, there's psychological warfare, moral tension, and heartbreak. Thaia's sacrifice, or the willingness to risk everything for Dec, signals that her journey is not merely a side quest to his. The stakes are deeply personal. Furthermore, the regenerative ability of the Kalisk is not just a monster trick. When Dec severs its head, believing he has won, the creature's ability to revive forces him and the audience to rethink what victory means. It's not just about strength or trophies, it's about understanding, respect, and perhaps a kind of kinship. Visually and tonally, the film leans into its inspirations with confidence. Trachtenberg cited influences as varied as Frank Frazetta, Terrence Malick, Conan the Barbarian, and even Shadow of the Colossus. These influences shape the film's soul. The movie feels mythic, yet grounded. With expansive landscapes reminiscent of westerns, brutal combat that echoes fantasy epics, and a meditative pace that allows emotional moments to breathe, Badlands manages to feel both timeless and fresh. The editing balances action and introspection. There are moments of breakneck tension and moments of quiet reflection. These quieter moments make the action more meaningful, they are not just spectacle, but steps in Dec's emotional journey. Similarly, the score is sensitive to these shifts. It underscores isolation, hope, regret, and triumph. The music is layered, sometimes ethereal for the alien wilderness, sometimes tribal for the predator rituals, and sometimes somber for moments of loss and sacrifice. The film asks poignant questions. What does it mean to belong? Is strength defined solely by violence, or is there strength in compassion and loyalty? Can a being created for war learn empathy, and can an android designed for duty find love and redemption? The film suggests identity is not fixed, Dec's sense of self evolves, and Thaia's purpose becomes more than her programming. The film subverts traditional predator tropes. Usually, predator films are about humans being hunted or fighting back. Here, the predator is both hunter and hunted, hero and outcast. By doing this, Badlands transforms the franchise. It doesn't just deliver action, it explores culture. It doesn't just show monster fights, it shows a monster's soul. The ending is emotionally resonant without being overly sentimental. Dec's final recognition, not just by his own clan but by the world of Jenna, feels earned. Thaia's role, her sacrifice, her agency, and her relationship with Dec are central to the transformation of both characters. Tessa's role complicates the narrative. She is not just a villain, but a symbol of corporate coldness, of duty over empathy, and a path Dec could have taken but refuses. In sum, Predator, Badlands is a daring and thoughtful reinvention of a long-standing franchise. It takes a monster, makes him vulnerable, gives him a soul, and throws him into a world that is as beautiful as it is dangerous. Through Dec and Thaia's journey, we witness survival, loyalty, betrayal, and ultimately, a new kind of honor. Visually stunning, emotionally rich, and thematically ambitious, Badlands is not just another Predator movie, it is a reimagining, an origin story, and a myth in its own right. Predator, Badlands represents a bold reimagining within the Predator franchise, shifting the narrative focus from humans under threat to a young predator itself. The film gives voice, motivation, and emotional depth to one of cinema's most iconic alien hunters. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and co-written with Patrick Eisen, the movie is a character-driven tale set on an alien world, exploring predator lore, exile, identity, survival, and unlikely alliances. The story follows Dec, a young Yautja who is considered the runt of his clan. Exiled and marginalized, Dec seeks validation, striving to prove his worth in a society where strength and honor are paramount. His journey becomes complicated when he crash lands on a distant, hostile planet filled with dangerous flora, monstrous fauna, and unforgiving environmental conditions. The planet itself serves as both a physical and symbolic challenge, testing Dec's strength, wit, and perseverance. Dec's exile is not only a physical separation but an emotional trial. He is looked down upon by his father, the clan leader, who openly regards him as unworthy. Dec's inner struggle, his desire for recognition, and the need to define himself drive the narrative forward. The film humanizes the predator, giving him vulnerabilities, hopes, and a deeply personal stake in his journey. On this alien world, Dek encounters Thaya, a damaged synthetic android who is physically impaired and reliant on Dek for mobility. Their alliance forms the heart of the story, balancing physical protection with intelligence and strategy. Thaya brings insight, emotional depth, and knowledge that Dek cannot access alone. The two form a symbiotic partnership as they navigate the planet's dangers and confront monstrous creatures, other predators, and the ultimate adversary that symbolizes Dek's greatest challenge. Thematically, Predator, Badlands, explores exile, belonging, strength, and growth. Dek's journey is one of self-discovery. Strength is not only physical but moral and emotional. His alliance with Thaya highlights trust, empathy, and interdependence. Together, they confront both external and internal threats, learning and evolving as their bond deepens. The production of the film is ambitious, combining practical effects with extensive visual effects to bring the alien world and its inhabitants to life. The cinematography emphasizes both scale and intimacy, capturing the harshness of the alien environment and the personal stakes of Dek and Thaya's journey. The landscapes, ranging from barren wastelands to lush alien forests, create a sense of wonder and danger, emphasizing the isolation and intensity of the adventure. The Predator language is fully developed in this film, giving cultural depth and authenticity to the Yautja. This world-building elevates the narrative, portraying the Predator as a society with its own hierarchies, rites of passage, and social codes. Dek's exile and trials take on greater significance against this cultural backdrop, making the story both personal and epic. The PG-13 rating of the film reflects a creative choice. By removing human characters, the violence is depicted in ways that are intense yet accessible. The alien creatures and battles are stylized, allowing for spectacle without graphic human gore. This choice broadens the audience while maintaining the franchise's signature intensity. The narrative structure begins with Dek's struggle for survival on the alien planet, learning the terrain, evading or confronting threats, and adapting to a harsh environment. As the story progresses, it evolves into a journey of confrontation, personal growth, and eventual understanding of the Predator world. The emotional arc of Dek and Thaya's partnership provides depth, balancing action with character development. The film's release generated excitement, premiering at a major theater and opening theatrically with wide distribution. Critics have praised the storytelling, visual design, and character focus, noting how the film elevates the Predator from antagonist to a protagonist with empathy, growth, and compelling motivation. The box office performance has been strong, signaling audience appreciation for the fresh take and thematic depth. Predator, Badlands represents a turning point in the franchise. It is not merely an action film but a meditation on identity, belonging, and the complexity of alien societies. By centering the narrative on a Predator protagonist, it redefines expectations, creating opportunities for sequels, expanded lore, and future stories that explore the Yautja culture in rich detail. Predator, Badlands is the 9th installment in the legendary Predator franchise, a cinematic universe that has captivated audiences for over 4 decades with its unique blend of science fiction, action, and thrilling adventure. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg, a filmmaker celebrated for his meticulous attention to world building and inventive storytelling, the film brings a fresh perspective to the long-running saga. Unlike earlier installments where humans were primarily the hunted, Badlands places a predator, a member of the alien Yautja species, at the narrative center. This shift in perspective not only reinvigorates the franchise but also offers viewers a profound exploration of predator culture, societal hierarchy, and emotional complexity, something fans have long speculated about but never fully experienced on screen. The screenplay, crafted by Patrick Eisen with story contributions from Trachtenberg himself, merges action, suspense, and science fiction with an unexpectedly deep emotional core, while producers John Davis, Mark Tobroff, Ben Rosenblatt, and Brent O'Connor provide a solid foundation of experience from blockbuster filmmaking. The musical score, composed collaboratively by Sarah Schachner and Benjamin Wallfish, adds another layer of intensity and emotion, perfectly complementing the film's thrilling sequences and atmospheric tension. Cinematographer Jeff Cutter's work captures both the haunting alien landscapes and the intimate moments of character development, while editors Stefan Grube and David Trachtenberg ensure a seamless, pulse-pounding narrative that keeps audiences engaged throughout its 107-minute runtime. Set on the remote and hostile alien planet Jenna, the story follows Dek, a young and underestimated predator considered an outcast by his clan. Dek's father, Njor, a powerful and imposing figure, doubts his son's capabilities, creating a tense familial dynamic that drives much of Dek's motivation. In an effort to prove his worth, Dek embarks on a perilous hunting mission to confront the Kalisk, an unkillable creature whose strength and ferocity surpass even the most formidable predators. The Kalisk represents the ultimate challenge, and only by facing it can Dek hope to gain recognition and honor within his society. Along his journey, Dek encounters Thaya, a damaged synthetic being created by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Thaya's character is physically compromised, having lost her lower half in prior events at the hands of the Kalisk, and her presence introduces a compelling layer of vulnerability and complexity. The relationship between Dek and Thaya evolves from mutual necessity into genuine trust and collaboration, highlighting themes of empathy and cooperation across species and constructs. Thaya's twin sister, Tessa, serves as a formidable antagonist, embodying the corporate and militaristic ethos of Weyland-Yutani. Her confrontations with Dek not only propel the plot forward but also emphasize the moral and ethical complexities present in a universe dominated by survival and conquest. Dek's brother, Quay, plays a subtle yet pivotal role in the narrative. When the clan orders Quay to kill Dek, he refuses, demonstrating both loyalty and compassion, and assists Dek's journey to Jenna. This act of defiance underscores the strong familial bonds and internal conflicts that run throughout the Yautja culture, providing a fascinating glimpse into the societal norms of these alien hunters. As Dek navigates the treacherous terrain of Jenna, he faces increasingly dangerous creatures and environmental hazards, all while fostering a unique partnership with Thaya. Their collaboration reaches its zenith during the climactic confrontation with the adult Kalisk, revealing unexpected familial connections and the depth of the planet's ecosystem. Bud, a creature initially appearing secondary, is later revealed to be the Kalisk's offspring, adding emotional resonance and a narrative twist that challenges traditional predator-prey dynamics. In the final sequences, Dek and Thaya, aided by Bud, overcome Tessa's antagonistic schemes and navigate the dangers of cryobombs and environmental collapse. Dek ultimately returns to Yautja Prime, bringing Tessa's head as a trophy and facing his father in a climactic showdown, only to be rejected once more. Bud intervenes decisively, eliminating Njor and allowing Dek to survive, setting the stage for future stories and potential sequels, including the teased return of Dek's mother. The cast brings this rich narrative to life with compelling performances. Dimitrios Schuster-Kaloamatangi portrays Dek, capturing both the physicality and emotional vulnerability of an outcast predator striving for acceptance. Elle Fanning delivers a dual performance as Thaya and Tessa, skillfully differentiating between the empathetic, injured synthetic and her ruthless, corporate-aligned twin. Ruben de Jong embodies Njor with a commanding presence, conveying authority, intimidation, and the complex paternal expectations placed upon Dek. Supporting characters, including Mike Homick as Quay, Rohino Nayaran as Bud, Cameron Brown as Weyland-Yutani Synthetic Smith, and Allison Wright voicing the Weyland-Yutani AIMU/TH/UR, round out a cast that balances action, emotion, and narrative depth, contributing to the film's immersive universe. The production of Predator, Badlands took place primarily in New Zealand, with principal photography beginning in late August 2024 and wrapping in October of the same year. The film's visual effects are extensive, with multiple VFX studios contributing, including Weta FX, known for their work on large-scale, visually complex projects. These effects bring the alien landscapes of Jenna, the formidable Kalisk, and the intricate predator technology to life, creating a visually stunning and immersive environment. The introduction of an expanded Yautja language, or Yautja Codex, adds authenticity and depth to predator culture, enabling characters to communicate in ways previously unexplored in the franchise. The intentional inclusion of Weyland-Yutani elements serves to create thematic links to the alien universe, providing fans with Easter eggs and narrative possibilities while maintaining the story's independence and accessibility. Predator: Badlands premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater on November 3, 2025, followed by a wide theatrical release in the United States on November 7, 2025. The film also opened in select European markets a day earlier. Audiences were able to experience the film in a variety of premium formats, including IMAX, Dolby Cinema, RealD 3D, 4DX, and ScreenX, ensuring a visually and orally immersive experience. Post-theatrical streaming availability is expected on platforms such as Hulu and Disney+, expanding accessibility to a global audience. The film's trailers, released throughout 2025, carefully teased the alien landscapes, the formidable Kalisk, and the unique dynamics between Dek and Thaya, generating substantial anticipation and engagement from both fans and newcomers. Critically, the film has been well received. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a strong score of approximately 85%, with reviewers praising its inventive approach to Predator mythology, character-driven narrative, and emotional resonance. Critics note that by positioning a predator as the protagonist, the film transcends traditional action horror tropes, offering a layered story with moral, ethical, and existential undertones. The relationship between Dek and Thaya, the depiction of Yautja society, and the intricate planetary ecosystem of Jenna contribute to a narrative that is both thrilling and thought-provoking. Thematically, Predator: Badlands explores identity, acceptance, survival, and cooperation. Dek's journey from outcast to recognized warrior parallels universal themes of self-discovery and the pursuit of honor, while the interactions between predators, synthetics, and alien wildlife challenge viewers to reconsider traditional definitions of predator, prey, and ally. By presenting complex familial dynamics, ethical dilemmas, and interspecies empathy, the film elevates the franchise from straightforward action to a nuanced exploration of societal and personal growth. The inclusion of Weyland-Yutani elements also allows for cross-franchise speculation, hinting at deeper connections with the alien universe while maintaining narrative cohesion and accessibility. The future potential of the franchise is significant. Director Trachtenberg has indicated plans for multiple films following Dek's journey, contingent upon the success of Badlands, with ideas for further exploration of Yautja culture, interstellar adventures, and possible crossovers. The tease of Dek's mother and the introduction of Bud as a companion signal opportunities for sequels and expanded storytelling, keeping audiences engaged and invested in the Predator universe. In conclusion, Predator: Badlands revitalizes the franchise by shifting perspective, deepening character development, and integrating complex narrative themes. With its rich visual effects, compelling performances, intricate plot, and immersive world building, the film offers both adrenaline-pumping action and thoughtful exploration of identity, loyalty, and survival. It stands as a significant entry in the Predator saga, promising not only to entertain but also to expand the mythology in meaningful and exciting ways, leaving audiences eager for the next chapter in the journey of Dek, Thaya, Bud, and the broader Yautja legacy. The film successfully balances thrilling science fiction spectacle with emotional storytelling, setting a new benchmark for the franchise and offering a compelling vision of the Predator universe for both longtime fans and new audiences alike. Predator: Badlands emerges as a landmark entry in the Predator franchise, transforming the way audiences engage with the Yautja universe. For decades, the series has largely presented humans as prey, with the Predator serving as an enigmatic force of lethal precision. However, Badlands pivots dramatically by placing a young predator named Dek at the center of the narrative, offering viewers an intimate exploration of alien society, familial expectation, and personal identity. This perspective shift is not simply a narrative gimmick but a deliberate creative choice by director Dan Trachtenberg, who has long been recognized for his ability to construct immersive, character-driven science fiction worlds. By positioning a Yautja as the protagonist, the film challenges audiences to empathize with a species historically framed as the ultimate hunter, inviting viewers to consider morality, honor, and survival through an entirely different lens. From the opening sequences, Badlands establishes a visceral, atmospheric tone. The planet Jenna is introduced as a sprawling, hostile ecosystem, replete with jagged rock formations, alien flora, and menacing fauna. This environment is not a mere backdrop but an active participant in the story, shaping character choices and narrative tension. Dek's initial journey begins with exile from his home clan on Yautja Prime, a hierarchical society that values strength, cunning, and adherence to tradition. His father, Njor, embodies the apex of Yautja authority, a figure whose expectations and disdain for his son drive much of the plot. Njor's rejection of Dek is emblematic of a deeply rooted societal code in which weakness, even perceived weakness, is intolerable. This familial conflict is central to the film's emotional core, providing a narrative anchor amidst the spectacular action and science fiction spectacle. Dek's journey is catalyzed by a mission to hunt the Kalisk, an unkillable and legendary creature that symbolizes ultimate trial and prestige within Yautja culture. Unlike prior Predator films, which often portrayed alien adversaries as simple threats, the Kalisk is depicted with complexity and depth. Its behavior, interactions with the environment, and eventual revelation as a parent to Bud challenge conventional predator-prey dynamics, creating a layered narrative where empathy and understanding become as crucial as strength and combat skill. The Kalisk's narrative arc also emphasizes the interconnectedness of life on Jenna, positioning the alien ecosystem itself as a character with agency, challenges, and consequences. The introduction of Thaya, a damaged Weyland-Yutani synthetic, further enriches the story. Thaya's character embodies both vulnerability and resilience, as her physical injuries compel reliance on Dek while her intelligence and resourcefulness drive strategic decision-making. The relationship between Dek and Thaya evolves organically from mutual necessity to profound cooperation, highlighting the potential for trust and alliance across species boundaries. Thaya's twin sister, Tessa, provides a counterpoint, representing corporate-driven ambition and ruthless pragmatism. Their conflict underscores one of the film's central themes, the tension between ethical responsibility and utilitarian survival strategies, a theme resonant across both Predator and Alien franchises. Character arcs in Badlands are meticulously crafted. Dek's transformation from a timid outcast to a capable and respected hunter is not instantaneous but a gradual process shaped by adversity, mentorship, and moral choices. This character development is punctuated by encounters with both hostile and cooperative species on Jenna, each providing opportunities for Dek to demonstrate ingenuity, courage, and emerging empathy. Quay, Dek's brother, serves as a narrative foil, demonstrating the tension between loyalty, duty, and familial obligation. Quay's refusal to execute Dek, despite clan orders, exemplifies the moral complexity within Yautja society and sets the stage for Dek's journey of self-realization and eventual recognition, even in the face of paternal rejection. The ecology of Jenna is depicted with extraordinary care. Every element, from the towering rock spires to the predatory flora and fauna, contributes to the story's tension and thematic richness. The Kalisk, Bud, and other creatures are not mere antagonists but integrated components of this ecosystem, with behaviors, relationships, and survival strategies that demand respect and strategy from Dek and Thaya alike. The film's visual design, spearheaded by Jeff Cutter, employs a combination of practical effects and cutting-edge CGI to create a believable, immersive alien world. The interplay of light and shadow, the sense of scale, and the careful choreography of creature interactions all contribute to the tension, suspense, and aesthetic majesty of the film. Action sequences in Badlands are carefully constructed to serve both narrative and thematic purposes. Every confrontation, from stealthy skirmishes to full-scale battles, is an opportunity to reveal character, test moral and strategic decision-making, and explore the consequences of strength, cunning, and cooperation. Dek's final confrontation with the Kalisk and the climactic showdown with his father, Njor, exemplify this philosophy, blending visceral spectacle with emotional stakes. Thaya's tactical guidance and Bud's intervention highlight the importance of collaboration and empathy, even in a universe traditionally defined by predation and survival of the fittest. The film's score, composed collaboratively by Sarah Schachner and Benjamin Wallfish, amplifies the narrative's emotional and dramatic impact. The music adapts dynamically to the evolving tension, shifting from brooding, atmospheric textures during stealth sequences to full-throttle orchestral intensity during climactic battles. These musical choices not only heighten suspense but also underscore the emotional arcs of the characters, particularly Deck's journey from outcast to hero. From a production standpoint, Predator: Badlands represents a synthesis of modern cinematic techniques and franchise legacy. Filming in New Zealand provided diverse landscapes capable of representing the alien terrain of Jenna convincingly, while the integration of practical and digital effects allowed for both realism and imagination. The film also innovates by expanding the Yautja language, providing authenticity to dialogue between alien characters and enriching the world building. The inclusion of Weyland-Yutani elements strategically links the film to the broader Alien universe, offering subtle nods and potential narrative threads for future cross-franchise storytelling without alienating new audiences. Marketing and trailer campaigns were carefully structured to generate anticipation while preserving narrative surprises. Initial teasers highlighted Deck's journey and the alien environment, creating intrigue around the Predator's new role as protagonist. Later trailers expanded on the conflict between Deck and Tessa, the threat of the Kalisk, and the integration of Weyland-Yutani synthetics, building a comprehensive sense of stakes, character depth, and visual spectacle. Audience reception has been overwhelmingly positive, with Rotten Tomatoes reflecting an approximate 85% critical approval rating. Reviewers highlight the film's innovation in character perspective, emotional depth, and meticulous world building, noting that Badlands elevates the franchise from conventional sci-fi action to a narrative with philosophical and ethical dimensions. Thematic exploration is a cornerstone of Predator: Badlands. The film interrogates notions of identity, honor, survival, empathy, and moral responsibility. Deck's struggle to earn his place within Yautja society reflects universal human concerns regarding recognition, self-worth, and familial expectation. The interactions between predators, synthetics, and alien wildlife challenge simplistic notions of good versus evil, predator versus prey, and survival versus morality. Cooperation, empathy, and ethical decision-making emerge as central tenets, suggesting that even in a brutal universe, relationships and understanding can redefine survival and legacy. By integrating these themes with dynamic action, immersive world building, and complex character arcs, the film achieves a balance between entertainment and intellectual engagement rarely seen in the franchise. Sequel potential is significant. Director Trachtenberg's vision encompasses multiple story arcs, including Deck's evolving role within Yautja society, the integration of Bud as an ally, and the hinted return of Deck's mother. The narrative framework established in Badlands allows for exploration of interstellar adventures, deeper Yautja cultural dynamics, and potential crossovers with the alien universe, keeping audiences invested in future installments. The film's conclusion, with Deck, Thea, and Bud forming a new family unit, establishes both resolution and narrative momentum, creating a foundation for expanded universe storytelling while maintaining immediate thematic and emotional satisfaction. Technically, Predator: Badlands represents a milestone in contemporary science fiction filmmaking. The visual effects team successfully integrate CGI and practical effects to create immersive environments and dynamic creature interactions. Cinematography emphasizes scale, perspective, and environmental storytelling, with sequences that juxtapose the vast alien landscapes against intimate character moments. Editing maintains narrative clarity and pacing, ensuring that action, tension, and emotional beats resonate equally. Music and sound design reinforce immersion, from the subtle ambience of alien ecosystems to the thunderous crescendo of climactic confrontations. In conclusion, Predator: Badlands revitalizes the franchise through its innovative perspective, meticulous world building, and deep character exploration. By centering the narrative on a predator protagonist, the film challenges traditional notions of the series while preserving its core themes of survival, honor, and predation. Deck's journey, Thea's resilience, Bud's unexpected alliance, and the ethical complexity of Tessa's antagonism create a multifaceted narrative that blends spectacle with philosophical inquiry. The film's technical achievements, thematic depth, and narrative ambition set a new benchmark for the Predator universe, offering audiences a compelling and immersive experience that is both thrilling and intellectually engaging. With sequel potential and franchise expansion on the horizon, Predator: Badlands positions itself as a transformative entry, bridging legacy, innovation, and future storytelling possibilities within one of science fiction's most enduring and iconic franchises. Dek's initial days on the alien planet are fraught with challenges that test both his physical and mental resilience. The terrain is unpredictable, ranging from jagged cliffs and barren deserts to dense, alien forests teeming with unseen predators. Every step is a potential threat, forcing Dek to rely on instinct, cunning, and an emerging sense of strategy. The planet's ecosystem is not merely hostile for spectacle, it mirrors Dek's internal struggle, reflecting his feelings of exile and vulnerability. The more dangerous the environment becomes, the more he grows in confidence and understanding of his own capabilities. Thaia's presence on this journey is transformative for Dek. Initially, their interaction is transactional. Dek carries her, protects her, and follows her guidance when necessary. However, as they endure trials together, a deeper bond develops, rooted in trust, mutual dependence, and shared hardship. Thaia's intelligence and knowledge complement Dek's physical prowess, creating a dynamic partnership where neither is truly dominant. Their alliance introduces emotional stakes that transcend the typical predator-prey relationship traditionally central to the franchise. It is through their connection that the film explores themes of empathy, loyalty, and the unexpected ways relationships can shape individuals, even across species or artificial life. The alien creatures they encounter vary in size, behavior, and threat level. Some are massive apex predators, towering over Dek and presenting a near insurmountable challenge, while others are smaller, quicker, and cunning, forcing Dek to adapt his combat strategies. These encounters are not only thrilling action sequences but also serve as narrative devices that reinforce character development. Dek's resourcefulness is tested, his patience challenged, and his moral judgment explored as he confronts these creatures. In some instances, he must choose between survival and compassion, illustrating a complexity rarely afforded to characters in previous Predator films. Throughout the journey, the planet itself becomes a character. Its hazards, raging storms, toxic swamps, volcanic regions, and labyrinthine cave systems, demand both caution and creativity. Dek learns to interpret subtle environmental cues, developing a form of alien intuition that mirrors human survival instincts but filtered through Yautja physiology. The visual design emphasizes both the beauty and danger of the alien world, with bioluminescent plants, otherworldly rock formations, and vast, alien vistas that create a sense of scale and immersion. This design work reinforces the narrative's emphasis on isolation and survival, making every encounter feel grounded and high stakes. The apex adversary that Dek and Thaia face serves as a narrative and thematic climax. It is not merely a monstrous creature to be defeated, but a symbol of Dek's ultimate challenge, confronting the limits of his strength, intelligence, and courage. This adversary forces Dek to question what it means to be a warrior, what constitutes honor, and whether survival alone is enough to earn a place within Yautja society. The confrontation is structured not just as a battle of physicality but as a test of wit, perseverance, and emotional growth, culminating in a sequence that emphasizes character over spectacle while still delivering intense visual action. Interwoven with these external threats is the political and cultural context of Yautja society. The film explores the complex hierarchies and codes that govern predator behavior, including rites of passage, clan loyalty, and notions of strength and weakness. Dek's exile is not simply punishment, it is a societal judgment with profound personal implications. Throughout the narrative, Dek is confronted with the expectations and traditions of his species, which challenge his sense of identity and purpose. The film delves into Yautja culture with unprecedented depth, portraying it as a civilization with intricate customs, ethical dilemmas, and internal politics rather than a one-dimensional alien hunter trope. The visual and narrative design of Predator technology is another key element. Dek's armor, weapons, and tools are depicted in detail, reflecting both cultural symbolism and practical functionality. The film balances traditional Predator aesthetics, such as cloaking devices, plasma casters, and retractable blades, with innovations designed to reflect Dek's unique circumstances as an outcast. This attention to detail reinforces the authenticity of the Yautja world, making their society feel lived in and technologically consistent. Thaia's character design also carries narrative weight. As a damaged synthetic, she embodies both vulnerability and resilience. Her physical limitations require dependence on Dek, but her intellectual capabilities often guide their survival strategies. Through her, the film explores themes of agency, autonomy, and the ethics of artificial life. The juxtaposition of Dek's organic strength and Thaia's synthetic intelligence creates a dual narrative arc where each character's growth is contingent upon the other, emphasizing the film's central message about interdependence and trust. The narrative also incorporates subtle environmental storytelling, where every location communicates history and purpose. Ancient ruins, predator markings, and remnants of past conflicts hint at the planet's layered past, enriching the viewer's understanding of the ecosystem and the stakes of Dek's journey. These details reward attentive audiences and reinforce the film's commitment to immersive world-building. Musically, the score underlines both emotional depth and narrative tension. The compositions shift fluidly between sweeping, cinematic themes that emphasize the alien planet's grandeur and quieter, reflective motifs that highlight the evolving bond between Dek and Thaia. Rhythmic elements accentuate action sequences, heightening tension and creating a visceral connection to the characters' experiences. The music serves as both an emotional guide and a structural framework for the story, reinforcing narrative arcs and enhancing audience engagement. The film's pacing is deliberately structured to balance survival sequences, character development, and high-stakes action. The initial sequences emphasize isolation and environmental threat, creating a sense of suspense and anticipation. Midway, the story deepens with the development of Dek and Thaia's relationship, exploration of Yautja cultural codes, and introduction of complex antagonists. The climax delivers both narrative and emotional resolution, combining strategic confrontation, personal triumph, and thematic closure. This pacing ensures that audiences remain engaged throughout, experiencing a layered story rather than a series of disconnected action set pieces. By centering the narrative on a predator protagonist, Predator, Badlands redefines traditional franchise dynamics. The film examines themes traditionally reserved for human characters, identity, exile, loyalty, and moral growth, but through the lens of an alien species. This perspective shift allows for a fresh exploration of familiar ideas, highlighting the universality of certain experiences while emphasizing the distinctiveness of the Yautja. The film demonstrates that even beings traditionally depicted as monstrous can possess complexity, vulnerability, and capacity for connection. Predator, Badlands opens with a world that feels simultaneously alien and profoundly familiar, a place where survival is both instinct and ritual. From the very first frames, the audience is immersed in the life of Dek, a young predator whose size and perceived weakness mark him as an outcast within his own clan. Unlike the predators familiar to the franchise's fans, who are fearsome hunters preying upon humans and other creatures, Dek is vulnerable, uncertain, and on the cusp of a personal journey that will test not only his physical prowess but the depth of his character and the strength of his convictions. His banishment from his clan is not a punishment delivered lightly, it is a cultural decree that carries with it the weight of shame, the fear of failure, and the imperative to restore honor. Every step he takes, every decision he makes, is influenced by the relentless scrutiny of a society that prizes strength above all else, and where weakness is not merely a personal flaw but a liability that could end in death or permanent exile. Dek's father, the patriarch of their clan, embodies the exacting standards that define Yautja society. He is a figure of authority and expectation, a living representation of what the clan believes a predator should be: strong, cunning, and merciless. Dek's older brother, Quay, is the reflection of those ideals, confident, capable, and seemingly destined to fulfill the traditions and rituals that bind their society. Against this backdrop, Dek's journey begins not as a choice but as a necessity imposed upon him by forces beyond his control. He is tasked with a mission that many in the clan consider impossible, an assignment designed to test the very limits of his abilities and, perhaps unknowingly, his resilience and ingenuity. This mission, to travel to the distant and perilous planet known as Jenna and to hunt the legendary Kalisk, is framed as a rite of passage, a trial that will either restore Dek's honor or seal his fate as an outcast forever. Jenna is not merely a setting, it is a character in its own right, a living, breathing ecosystem filled with dangers both visible and unseen. From the moment Dek sets foot on its surface, the planet asserts itself as a realm that demands respect, intelligence, and adaptability. Its flora is both mesmerizing and lethal, with plants that possess defensive mechanisms capable of ensnaring, poisoning, or incapacitating those who venture too close. The fauna is equally formidable, from towering predators that rival Dek in strength to smaller, more cunning creatures whose survival tactics rely on ambush and camouflage. The very environment conspires to challenge Dek at every turn, forcing him to rely not only on his inherent predator instincts but also on creativity, observation, and collaboration. Survival on Jenna is not guaranteed by strength alone, it requires a harmony between mind, body, and intuition, a theme that resonates deeply throughout the narrative. It is within this unforgiving landscape that Dek encounters Thaya, an android whose existence is both a testament to advanced technological achievement and a reflection of the complexities of identity, autonomy, and morality. Thaya is severely damaged, missing the lower half of her body, and is consequently reliant on Dek for mobility. Their meeting is one of necessity, but it evolves into a partnership that underscores some of the most compelling themes of the film, the nature of trust, the boundaries of empathy, and the ways in which survival can foster unexpected bonds. Thaya possesses knowledge of Jenna that Dek does not, an intimate understanding of its perils and patterns that proves invaluable. In turn, Dek provides protection, physical strength, and a connection to the traditions and instincts of a species that values honor and courage above all else. Their interactions are marked by tension, humor, and gradually developing mutual respect, illustrating how beings from entirely different worlds can find common purpose when faced with adversity. Thaya's backstory introduces additional layers of complexity, particularly through her relationship with her sister, Tessa, another synthetic being created by the same corporation that produced Thaya. Tessa embodies control, obedience, and ruthlessness, acting as both antagonist and foil to Thaya. Where Thaya is vulnerable yet resourceful, capable of adaptation and empathy, Tessa is cold, calculated, and uncompromising. This dichotomy not only creates narrative tension but also serves to highlight the different ways in which beings, organic or synthetic, navigate a world structured by power, expectation, and survival imperatives. The presence of Tessa introduces ethical and philosophical considerations, questioning the nature of free will, the meaning of loyalty, and the capacity for compassion within systems designed for exploitation or conquest. As Dek and Thaya navigate the alien terrain, they encounter myriad obstacles that test both their physical endurance and their emotional resilience. From aggressive predators to treacherous plant life, each encounter is designed to challenge their abilities and force growth. The relationship between Dek and Thaya is continually evolving, moving from mere convenience to a deepening alliance grounded in mutual dependence, trust, and recognition of each other's unique strengths. In this way, the film uses the framework of a high-stakes adventure to explore more nuanced themes, the transformative power of cooperation, the necessity of empathy in a harsh and unforgiving world, and the capacity for growth that emerges when beings confront danger together. Integral to this journey is the presence of Bud, a smaller alien creature who forms an unexpected bond with Dek. Initially perceived as insignificant, Bud's loyalty and interactions with Dek provide both narrative depth and emotional resonance. Bud represents the possibility of connection beyond the rigid hierarchies and expectations of Yautja society. Through his relationship with Bud, Dek begins to understand that strength is not measured solely by physical dominance or combat prowess but also by the capacity for compassion, protection, and loyalty. This bond is emblematic of the broader thematic currents in the film, which suggest that true honor encompasses more than victory in battle, it is also measured by integrity, empathy, and the willingness to form meaningful relationships in the face of adversity. The narrative builds to the climactic confrontation with the Kalisk, a creature of immense power whose existence has been both feared and revered across Yautja lore. The Kalisk's regenerative abilities challenge conventional notions of victory and force Dek to confront not only the physical demands of the hunt but also the ethical and emotional dimensions of his actions. The confrontation is heightened by the intervention of Tessa, whose actions complicate the stakes and introduce a psychological dimension to the battle. Thaya's vulnerability and potential sacrifice become central to the narrative, emphasizing the intertwining of personal stakes with broader survival imperatives and cultural expectations. Visually, Predator: Badlands is a masterpiece of alien world-building. Every frame communicates the danger, beauty, and intricacy of Jenna's ecosystems. The cinematography emphasizes scale, placing deck against vast landscapes, alien predators, and monstrous flora to convey both vulnerability and determination. The visual language supports the narrative, enhancing the emotional impact of key moments and immersing the audience in the alien environment. Complementing the visuals is a score that balances tension with emotional depth, providing auditory cues that amplify the stakes, highlight character development, and underscore thematic resonance. The film's PG-13 rating allows for accessibility without diluting intensity. Violence is conveyed in a stylized, often alien context, focusing on imaginative and visually arresting methods rather than gratuitous gore. This approach broadens the potential audience, inviting both longtime fans of the franchise and new viewers to engage with the story while maintaining the high stakes and visceral impact characteristic of the Predator universe. The rating also underscores the film's commitment to narrative and thematic depth, prioritizing character development, world building, and emotional arcs alongside the expected action sequences. Critically, the film has been lauded for its fresh perspective, emotional complexity, and innovative approach to franchise mythology. It succeeds in transforming a traditional monster narrative into a character-driven story that explores honor, loyalty, and identity. Audiences have responded positively to the film's balance of action and introspection, as well as its exploration of the alien ecosystem and predator culture. The film's success, both commercially and critically, positions it as a pivotal entry in the franchise, demonstrating the potential for evolution and reinvention within established cinematic universes. Deck's journey is emblematic of a broader thematic exploration, the transformation of an outcast into a figure of agency, courage, and moral complexity. His evolution is mirrored in Thaia's arc, where vulnerability gives way to resourcefulness, and reliance transforms into mutual respect and collaboration. Through their shared trials, the film interrogates notions of strength, honor, and identity, ultimately suggesting that the most profound forms of power arise not from dominance or conquest but from understanding, empathy, and the forging of meaningful connections. The narrative of Predator: Badlands gains additional complexity when considering the intricate hierarchy and societal norms of the Yautja species. Yautja society, as depicted in the film, is highly stratified, emphasizing physical prowess, strategic intelligence, and adherence to tradition. Elders, such as Deck's father Njor, occupy positions of absolute authority, dictating the social and martial expectations for younger predators. Njor's repeated dismissals of Deck underscore the rigidness of this hierarchy, where weakness or perceived incompetence can lead to exile, dishonor, or even death. This societal structure is central to the film's narrative tension, as Deck's personal growth and eventual triumph challenge the status quo of Yautja tradition. His journey from marginalized outcast to respected hunter is emblematic of a broader theme of meritocracy, yet the film also interrogates the ethical dimensions of such a system, questioning whether strength alone should dictate worth. The ecology of Jenna is intricately designed to challenge and shape the protagonist. Trachtenberg and the production team created an alien ecosystem that functions almost as a character in itself. Towering cliffs, vast deserts, dense jungles, and alien rivers are populated by creatures whose behaviors are unpredictable and often lethal. Each encounter forces Deck and his allies to adapt their strategies, reflecting the broader themes of adaptability and intelligence as vital tools for survival. The Kalisk, in particular, is emblematic of this ecosystem's sophistication. As a seemingly invincible creature, it forces both Deck and the audience to reconsider the definitions of predator and prey. The later revelation that Bud is the Kalisk's offspring adds layers of moral complexity and emotional resonance, highlighting that even in a universe dominated by survival instincts, familial bonds and empathy persist. One of the film's standout elements is the symbiotic relationship between Deck and Thaya. Their partnership is not merely tactical, it is a narrative vehicle through which the film explores trust, collaboration, and cross-species empathy. Thaya, as a synthetic being designed by Wayland Yutani, embodies both vulnerability and advanced intelligence. Her reliance on Dec for physical support juxtaposed with her strategic guidance exemplifies the mutual interdependence that underpins many successful partnerships. Tessa, Thaia's twin sister, provides a foil to this dynamic, embodying corporate ruthlessness and ideological rigidity. Her actions create tension not only on a physical level but also ethically, forcing Dec to navigate decisions that balance moral responsibility against survival imperatives. Dec's combat strategy is another narrative and thematic highlight. Each encounter is carefully choreographed to emphasize the predator's intelligence, agility, and tactical thinking. Dec employs camouflage, environmental manipulation, and sophisticated weaponry, showcasing a level of strategic depth that aligns with the film's focus on Yautja culture. Weaponry, such as the wrist blades, plasma caster, and advanced tracking devices, are depicted with technical precision, emphasizing their integration into the predator's hunting ritual. The film takes care to show that success is not achieved through brute strength alone but through foresight, adaptability, and understanding of one's environment and adversaries. The climactic sequences, particularly Dec's confrontation with the Kalisk and subsequent battle against Njor, serve as both spectacle and philosophical exploration. The Kalisk's defeat requires more than martial skill, it requires understanding, patience, and the willingness to cooperate with others, including Thaya and Bud. The final battle with Njor, meanwhile, is as much about emotional resolution as physical conflict. Dec's father represents the oppressive weight of tradition, while Dec embodies the potential for cultural evolution. The intervention of Bud in this fight introduces another narrative layer, suggesting that even the youngest members of an ecosystem or society can influence outcomes in profound ways. From a filmmaking perspective, the integration of practical and digital effects elevates the world-building of Badlands. Yautja FX, in collaboration with multiple VFX studios, created realistic alien terrains and creature designs, blending photorealism with imaginative exaggeration. The Kalisk, Bud, and other alien fauna demonstrate sophisticated animation that reflects behavior patterns, predator-prey interactions, and social dynamics within the alien ecosystem. Jeff Cutter's cinematography emphasizes scale and perspective, often framing Dec against massive landscapes to convey the daunting challenges he faces. Editing choices by Stefan Grube and David Trachtenberg ensure clarity in complex action sequences, maintaining narrative momentum while highlighting key emotional beats. The film's soundscape and musical composition further enhance immersion. Schachner and Wallfish's score balances atmospheric tension with dramatic crescendos, accentuating both suspenseful stealth sequences and climactic confrontations. Sound design integrates environmental cues, such as alien wildlife, shifting terrain, and mechanical elements of predator technology, reinforcing the realism of the Jenna ecosystem. The combination of audio and visual elements creates a sensory experience that is simultaneously thrilling and emotionally resonant. Philosophically, Predator, Badlands explores identity, honor, and the ethics of survival. Dec's journey illustrates the tension between societal expectations and personal morality. While Yautja society prioritizes strength and dominance, the narrative demonstrates that empathy, strategic collaboration, and ethical choices are equally critical to meaningful success. The film interrogates the nature of family, the responsibilities of power, and the potential for interspecies cooperation, extending these themes beyond the science fiction context to universal human concerns. In relation to the broader Predator and Alien franchises, Badlands establishes intriguing narrative connections. The presence of Weyland-Yutani synthetics, such as Thaya and Tessa, subtly situates the film within the same universe as Alien, allowing for potential crossover narratives. However, the story remains primarily self-contained, ensuring accessibility for audiences unfamiliar with previous films. This balance of franchise continuity and standalone storytelling reflects a sophisticated understanding of audience engagement, providing depth for longtime fans while remaining compelling for newcomers. Marketing campaigns for Badlands were strategically designed to maximize anticipation. Initial teasers emphasized the alien landscapes and introduced Dec's role as a protagonist, generating curiosity about this new narrative approach. Subsequent trailers highlighted the film's complex character dynamics, including the ethical dilemmas presented by Thaya and Tessa, as well as the thrilling spectacle of Jenna's ecosystem and the formidable Kalisk. These campaigns effectively balanced intrigue with exposition, ensuring audience engagement without revealing key plot twists or diminutive narrative tension. Audience reception has been largely positive, with Rotten Tomatoes reflecting critical approval around 85%. Reviews emphasize the film's innovative narrative, emotional depth, and technical achievements. Critics highlight the successful humanization of a traditionally monstrous protagonist, the sophistication of the alien ecosystem, and the intricate choreography of combat sequences. The combination of spectacle and narrative sophistication positions Badlands as a milestone within the franchise, redefining expectations for future Predator films. As the story unfolds, the complexity of Yautja society becomes increasingly apparent. The Predator clans operate under strict codes, where honor, strength, and cunning dictate social standing. Dek's status as an outcast shapes every interaction he has, not only on his homeworld but on the alien planet where he seeks both survival and personal validation. Throughout the journey, the film explores rituals of combat, hierarchical struggles, and the societal expectations placed on predators. Dek's choices, successes, and failures are measured against these codes, creating tension that is both internal and external. His personal growth is therefore inseparable from his understanding of Yautja culture, making the narrative a profound exploration of identity within a structured alien society. Thaya's role continues to evolve, particularly with the introduction of her twin sister, Tessa. Unlike Thaya, Tessa is more calculating and ambitious, representing a different perspective on artificial intelligence and autonomy. The tension between Thaya and Tessa provides a counterpoint to Dek's journey, introducing moral complexity and emotional stakes beyond survival. The sisters' dynamic explores themes of loyalty, ambition, and the consequences of artificial creation, forcing Dek to navigate not only physical threats but also ethical dilemmas. This subplot deepens the narrative, highlighting that the journey is as much about understanding alliances and relationships as it is about overcoming external dangers. The interactions between Dek and other predators on the planet are equally significant. Some predators are hostile, challenging Dek's authority and skill, while others provide guidance or test his understanding of clan expectations. These encounters highlight the diversity of predator personalities and social structures, expanding the franchise's lore. Dek must learn when to assert dominance, when to cooperate, and when to strategically retreat. Each decision has consequences, reinforcing the film's emphasis on intelligence and strategy alongside raw power. This layered depiction of predator society adds narrative richness, transforming what could have been simple confrontations into meaningful story beats. The design of the alien world itself serves narrative and thematic purposes. The environment is simultaneously beautiful and threatening, filled with bioluminescent flora, jagged terrain, and strange creatures that serve as both obstacles and narrative foreshadowing. Environmental storytelling communicates the history of the planet, the presence of past civilizations or creatures, and the harshness of the ecosystem. This immersive world-building enhances the stakes for Dek and Thaya, emphasizing that survival requires not only skill but also careful observation and adaptability. The planet is not a passive backdrop, it is an active participant in the narrative, shaping the characters' choices and testing their resilience at every turn. Dek's encounters with monstrous creatures escalate in both intensity and significance. These creatures range from towering apex predators to swift, cunning hunters, each requiring different strategies to survive. The battles are choreographed to reflect both physical and intellectual challenges, emphasizing that Dek's growth depends on learning, observation, and adaptation rather than brute strength alone. The film balances spectacle with storytelling, ensuring that each confrontation advances character development, highlights Yautja culture, or deepens the relationship between Dek and Thaya. The visual effects and practical design work together to create creatures that feel grounded, alien, and terrifying, further immersing the audience in the story. The narrative structure carefully balances tension, action, and emotional resonance. Early sequences emphasize survival, isolation, and environmental threat, immersing the audience in Dek's struggle. Midway, the story pivots to character dynamics, exploring the relationships between Dek, Thaya, Tessa, and other predators. The climax integrates these elements, combining strategic combat, ethical decision-making, and emotional resolution. Dek's final confrontations are not solely about defeating an adversary but proving his worth, understanding the consequences of his choices, and reconciling his identity with the expectations of his species. This layered approach to pacing ensures that the film remains engaging while providing depth and nuance. Production design and cinematography play a critical role in conveying narrative and thematic elements. Dek's armor and weaponry are meticulously detailed, reflecting both traditional predator aesthetics and his unique status as an outcast. These elements communicate character, social position, and combat philosophy without dialogue. Similarly, Thaya's design emphasizes vulnerability and resilience, signaling her dependence on Dek while also highlighting her intelligence and resourcefulness. The visual language extends to the environment, creatures, and action sequences, creating a coherent and immersive cinematic world that supports the story and reinforces its emotional beats. Music and sound design enhance both tension and emotion. The score alternates between sweeping orchestral passages that evoke the grandeur and danger of the alien world and subtle, rhythmic motifs that underscore intimate moments between Dek and Thaya. Sound effects are carefully designed to give life to the alien fauna, predator technology, and environmental hazards, heightening immersion. The combination of music and sound reinforces the film's dual focus on spectacle and character, ensuring that both action sequences and quieter moments resonate with the audience. The film's themes are explored through character choices, narrative developments, and environmental storytelling. Dek's journey is a meditation on identity, belonging, and personal growth. Thaya and Tessa's dynamic introduces questions of morality, autonomy, and the consequences of creation. The alien world, with its hazards and history, provides both literal and symbolic challenges, testing characters' resourcefulness, resilience, and ethics. The narrative emphasizes that true strength lies not solely in physical prowess but in intelligence, adaptability, empathy, and the capacity for meaningful relationships. Marketing for the film capitalized on its unique perspective and visual spectacle. Teasers and trailers highlighted Dek as the protagonist, signaling a departure from traditional predator narratives. The alien environment, intense creature designs, and the partnership between Dek and Thaya were emphasized to differentiate the film from previous franchise entries. Early responses from audiences and critics praised the bold narrative choice, the detailed world building, and the balance between action and character-driven storytelling. The PG-13 rating was also marketed as an opportunity to enjoy predator action without extreme human gore, making the film accessible to a broader audience. The potential for sequels is embedded in the narrative. Dek's growth, the unresolved tensions with other predators, and hints of larger Yautja societal conflicts suggest future storylines. The introduction of Tessa and Weyland-Yutani connections further expands possibilities for narrative exploration. By redefining the predator from antagonist to hero, the film opens the door for extended world building, character arcs, and potential crossovers with related sci-fi universes. Critically, Predator: Badlands has been recognized for its innovation and depth. Reviewers note that the film successfully balances franchise expectations with fresh storytelling, offering thrilling action alongside rich character development. The emotional core of Dek and Thaya's partnership, combined with the intricacies of predator culture and the dangers of the alien world, creates a layered narrative that appeals to both longtime fans and new audiences. Financially, the film has performed strongly. Its combination of spectacle, fresh perspective, and broad accessibility has driven audience interest. The strategic release timing, premium formats, and marketing emphasizing the unique protagonist contributed to box office success. Early indicators suggest that the film could establish a new narrative trajectory for the Predator franchise, inspiring sequels and expanded stories. Overall, Predator: Badlands is a milestone within the franchise. By centering the story on a predator protagonist, it redefines genre expectations, explores complex themes, and expands the universe's lore. Dek's journey, his struggle for survival, understanding of Yautja culture, and relationship with Thaya, anchors the narrative, making it both epic and personal. The alien world, intricate creature designs, and detailed production work create a fully immersive experience that engages audiences visually, emotionally, and intellectually. As Dek and Thaya push deeper into the alien landscapes of Jenna, the perils they face multiply, each challenge more complex and threatening than the last. The planet itself seems to react to their presence, as if testing their resolve, their ingenuity, and their capacity for endurance. Alien storms sweep across vast plains, tearing at the terrain and transforming once passable paths into treacherous obstacles. Jagged cliffs and dense forests demand precision and caution, and the very air seems charged with an unpredictable energy that heightens the tension. It is a world where every misstep can be fatal, and where the line between hunter and prey is constantly blurred. Dek's understanding of survival, honed through years of Yautja training, is tested to its absolute limit. Every instinct, every decision, must be recalibrated to contend with a realm that is simultaneously alive and hostile, beautiful and lethal. The relationship between Dek and Thaya continues to evolve in subtle and profound ways. Initially, their alliance is utilitarian, a matter of survival and mutual necessity. Dek provides the physical protection Thaya requires, while Thaya offers strategic knowledge and technical insight. Yet as the days pass, moments of quiet reflection, shared struggle, and mutual reliance deepen their bond. The audience witnesses an evolving trust that transcends mere convenience. Dek begins to recognize Thaya as an equal, capable of emotional intelligence and moral insight, while Thaya comes to see Dek not merely as a protector but as a being of courage, honor, and complexity. Their dialogue, often sparse but rich with implication, conveys the development of empathy and understanding between two species from entirely different worlds. Through this lens, the film explores themes of connection, cooperation, and interspecies friendship, emphasizing that relationships formed in adversity often carry the deepest resonance. As the journey progresses, the narrative introduces increasingly sophisticated threats, each of which functions as both a physical and symbolic challenge. Predator creatures from Dek's clan, sent to observe or eliminate him should he fail, appear at critical junctures, forcing him to confront not only external dangers but the expectations of his society. These encounters are layered with tension. Dek must navigate the perilous landscape, evade or combat formidable foes, and simultaneously reconcile the weight of cultural judgment that defines his existence. The complexity of these challenges underscores the narrative's thematic focus on growth, self-discovery, and the negotiation of identity in a world that is both unforgiving and demanding. Bud, the small alien creature that becomes Dek's companion, grows in narrative significance as the story unfolds. Initially underestimated, Bud demonstrates intelligence, loyalty, and intuition that surpass what might be expected from a creature of his size. His bond with Dek represents the possibility of familial or tribal connection outside of rigid hierarchical structures. Dek's interactions with Bud challenge his understanding of what constitutes honor and belonging. Rather than relying solely on the approval of his clan, Dek begins to perceive value in relationships formed through mutual respect and loyalty. This dynamic not only provides emotional depth but also reinforces the narrative's thematic exploration of strength as encompassing both martial skill and the capacity for empathy and care. Meanwhile, Tessa's presence looms as an ever-present reminder of the corporate and technological forces operating within this universe. Her pursuit of Thaya is relentless, marked by cold precision and strategic cunning. Tessa's actions serve as a narrative foil to Dek's developing moral compass, juxtaposing calculated ambition against ethical choice, control against autonomy, and detachment against empathy. The contrast between Thaya's vulnerability and resourcefulness and Tessa's ruthless obedience creates a dramatic tension that heightens the stakes. It also reinforces one of the film's central inquiries: how do beings navigate structures of authority, obligation, and moral responsibility in a context where survival itself is uncertain? The approaching climax of the story is framed by the looming presence of the Kalisk, a creature whose power and legend transcend the immediate events of the film. Its regenerative ability and sheer physical dominance render it a near-mythical force, challenging both Dek's skill and his understanding of the nature of conquest and victory. When Dek finally confronts the Kalisk, it is not merely a battle of strength and strategy, it is a confrontation that forces him to reconcile his personal ambitions with the ethical and emotional complexities that have defined his journey. The regenerative aspect of the Kalisk introduces a narrative tension that subverts traditional notions of triumph. Victory is no longer defined by physical domination or the acquisition of a trophy but by insight, adaptability, and relational awareness. In this confrontation, Thais' role becomes pivotal. Her vulnerability and willingness to act in defense of Dek elevate the narrative beyond a simple predator versus prey dynamic. Her agency and choice create a tension that challenges Dek to consider the broader implications of his actions. Tessa's intervention, seeking to capture the Kalisk and exert control over the unfolding events, heightens the psychological complexity of the climax. The interplay between these characters exemplifies the film's thematic exploration of autonomy, sacrifice, and the responsibilities inherent in positions of power. The visual storytelling throughout these sequences reinforces the narrative's emotional and thematic depth. Cinematography emphasizes scale and perspective, contrasting Dek's relative size and vulnerability with the immense, sometimes alien grandeur of Jenna's environment. Tracking shots, sweeping panoramas, and carefully composed frames convey both the danger and beauty of the world, creating a sense of immersion that elevates the narrative beyond conventional action spectacle. Each frame communicates tension, wonder, or reflection, providing a visual counterpart to the evolving emotional arcs of the characters. The musical score mirrors and amplifies these dynamics. Tense sequences are underscored with rhythmic, percussive elements that heighten suspense and convey urgency, while reflective moments are accompanied by melodic motifs that evoke introspection, empathy, and resilience. The interplay of visual and auditory elements creates an immersive narrative experience, where action and emotion are inseparable and mutually reinforcing. As the story progresses toward resolution, Dek's understanding of honor, strength, and identity reaches its culmination. His interactions with Bud, Thaya, and the Kalisk reveal a broader conception of value and virtue. True strength encompasses courage, compassion, and the capacity to recognize and act in alignment with moral insight. The film's climax, therefore, is not simply a display of physical prowess but a meditation on ethical and emotional growth, suggesting that heroism is defined as much by relational integrity and empathy as by martial skill. The resolution of the narrative reinforces these themes. Dek's return to his clan, marked by recognition and acceptance, is framed not merely as the result of conquest or the acquisition of a trophy but as the outcome of his growth, relationships, and moral choices. Thaya's survival and her continuing agency underscore the transformative potential of cooperation, resilience, and shared purpose. Tessa's retreat or reconsideration of her objectives highlights the limits of control and the consequences of rigid adherence to authority absent empathy or relational understanding. The narrative, in its conclusion, emphasizes the interplay between personal development, relational bonds, and the navigation of societal and environmental pressures. The production of Predator, Badlands further reinforces the story's impact. The design of Jenna, from the alien flora and fauna to the atmospheric conditions and planetary geography, demonstrates a meticulous attention to world building. Each environment is crafted to communicate both aesthetic wonder and narrative significance, shaping the characters' journeys and reflecting thematic concerns. Costume and creature design emphasize the physicality and individuality of both predator and alien life forms, creating a visual lexicon that communicates status, strength, and narrative function without reliance on dialogue. Editing plays a crucial role in balancing the film's pacing, integrating action sequences with moments of reflection and character development. The rhythm of the film is carefully calibrated to maintain tension while allowing emotional arcs to resonate, ensuring that the audience remains engaged both viscerally and intellectually. The interplay of fast-paced sequences and slower, contemplative moments creates a dynamic narrative experience that mirrors the unpredictability and intensity of Jenna itself. Critically, the film has been praised for redefining the Predator franchise. By centering the story on the Predator as protagonist and exploring the complexity of its culture and morality, the narrative transcends conventional monster movie conventions. Audiences and critics alike have noted the depth of character development, the innovative use of setting as both obstacle and narrative agent, and the thematic richness achieved through the integration of survival, loyalty, and identity. The film's commercial success underscores the effectiveness of these narrative and production choices, demonstrating that audiences are receptive to stories that balance spectacle with emotional and philosophical depth. As Predator, Badlands approaches its climax, the interplay between narrative, character development, and thematic exploration becomes most pronounced. Deck's confrontation with the apex predator is more than a physical battle, it is a crucible that tests his accumulated knowledge, emotional growth, and understanding of honor. The apex creature embodies not only the environmental and physical dangers of the planet but also the societal pressures and expectations imposed upon Deck. Every maneuver, every choice during the confrontation, reflects his evolution from an outcast to a figure capable of embodying the values of his species while forging his own identity. The resolution of this battle is as much about character revelation as it is about spectacle, emphasizing the film's commitment to emotional and narrative weight. The dynamics between Deck, Thaya, and Tessa reach a peak during these sequences. Thaya's intelligence and foresight provide critical support, while Tessa's ambition introduces conflict and ethical tension. Deck must navigate not only the physical threats of the alien environment but also the moral and strategic dilemmas posed by the artificial beings. These interactions explore themes of loyalty, agency, and the consequences of choices in a universe governed by strength, intelligence, and survival. The narrative demonstrates that alliances are nuanced, that trust is earned, and that decisions carry lasting impact, elevating the story above simple action-oriented storytelling. The broader Yautja society is illuminated through these climactic events. Hierarchical structures, clan politics, and cultural rituals are showcased in ways that deepen audience understanding of predator civilization. Deck's journey highlights the complexities of honor, social expectations, and familial duty, offering a lens through which the audience can engage with the species' values. By embedding these elements within an action-driven narrative, the film creates a rich tapestry of lore and character interaction, allowing viewers to appreciate the predators as a nuanced culture rather than mere antagonists. Production design and technical execution reinforce these narrative ambitions. The visual effects team combined practical costumes with digital enhancements to achieve expressive predator features, intricate armor details, and seamless integration with alien environments. The alien fauna, ranging from towering beasts to smaller, cunning predators, were meticulously designed to challenge Deck physically and mentally while maintaining believability. Set design, lighting, and cinematography work together to create an immersive world, balancing the grandeur of alien landscapes with intimate character moments. Every visual element contributes to storytelling, from environmental hazards to the placement of alien structures and remnants of previous conflicts. The film's soundscape and score further amplify immersion. Composer-driven themes convey both the isolation of the alien world and the evolving relationship between Deck and Thaya. Action sequences are punctuated with precise sound design that communicates scale, weight, and danger, ensuring audiences feel the tension of combat and environmental hazards. Music and sound are carefully interwoven with narrative beats, reinforcing emotional resonance and highlighting critical turning points in character arcs. The soundscape is integral to the storytelling, emphasizing atmosphere, stakes, and narrative progression. Marketing strategies highlighted the film's unique perspective and narrative risks. Trailers emphasized Deck as the protagonist, signaling a departure from human-centered predator narratives. Promotional materials showcased the alien environment, intricate creature designs, and the evolving relationship between Deck and Thaya. Social media campaigns, exclusive previews, and behind-the-scenes content emphasized the world-building, cultural depth, and technical achievements of the production. The PG-13 rating was used to highlight accessibility, appealing to a wider demographic while maintaining the franchise's signature intensity and excitement. The combination of visual spectacle, narrative innovation, and strategic marketing contributed to audience anticipation and early commercial success. Critical reception has largely praised Predator, Badlands for its ambitious storytelling, character depth, and visual design. Reviewers noted the innovative choice to center a predator as protagonist, highlighting how the film balances action, lore, and emotional resonance. The relationship between Dek and Thea was frequently cited as a compelling emotional core, providing a humanizing counterpoint to the alien-centric narrative. Critics also appreciated the expansion of Yautja culture, the development of social hierarchies, and the thoughtful exploration of honor, loyalty, and identity. The film's pacing, immersive world-building, and thematic richness were recognized as elevating the franchise beyond standard monster action. The commercial performance of the film has reinforced the potential for franchise revitalization. Strong box office results, coupled with positive audience reception, suggest that the narrative risks taken by focusing on an alien protagonist were successful. The combination of spectacle, character-driven storytelling, and franchise familiarity contributed to both domestic and international interest, demonstrating that innovation within a beloved series can yield substantial rewards. Early revenue performance indicates that the film has established a new trajectory for the Predator franchise, potentially paving the way for sequels and spin-offs that explore different aspects of Yautja society and interplanetary narratives. Looking forward, the film's ending and narrative thread suggest avenues for expansion. Dek's personal growth, alliances, and the resolution of his exile position him as a central figure for future stories. The unresolved tensions with other predators, the presence of artificial beings like Thea and Tessa, and hints of larger societal and interplanetary conflicts provide fertile ground for sequels. The franchise's legacy is further enriched by the possibility of connecting these stories to other science fiction narratives, including potential ties to the broader universe of corporate-driven artificial intelligence, alien species, and interstellar exploration. In summary, Predator, Badlands, is a milestone within the franchise, redefining expectations by centering the narrative on a predator protagonist. It combines survival, exploration, and combat with deep character arcs, cultural world-building, and emotional resonance. Dek's journey from outcast to capable and honorable figure provides both spectacle and insight, while Thea and Tessa's roles enrich the narrative with ethical and emotional complexity. The alien environment, creature design, and visual storytelling create a fully immersive cinematic experience, while the score and sound design heighten both tension and emotional engagement. The film succeeds not only as a high-octane action spectacle but also as a narrative exploration of identity, honor, and belonging. By presenting the Yautja as a sophisticated society with complex moral codes and hierarchical structures, the story elevates the franchise from monster-centered thrills to character-driven epic. Its thematic depth, technical achievements, and fresh perspectives signal a potential renaissance for the Predator universe, offering opportunities for expanded storytelling, sequels, and deeper exploration of interplanetary lore. Ultimately, Predator, Badlands, is a bold, ambitious, and visually stunning entry in the franchise. It challenges expectations, deepens the mythos, and delivers a narrative that is as emotionally compelling as it is action-packed. Dek's growth, Thea's resilience, and the intricacies of Predator culture provide a rich tapestry that will influence both fans and future storytellers. Through careful world-building, character-driven storytelling, and technical excellence, the film transforms the Predator from feared hunter to nuanced hero, redefining what the franchise can achieve and setting a new standard for science fiction action cinema. Predator, Badlands opens with a sweeping shot of Yautja Prime, a world defined by its towering obsidian spires, dense jungles, and volcanic plains. The opening sequences immediately establish the rigid hierarchical structure of Yautja society, in which physical dominance, hunting prowess, and adherence to ritual codes dictate social status. Njor, Dek's father and the clan's most powerful elder, is introduced as a figure whose authority is absolute. His disdain for Dek, the youngest and physically smaller predator in the clan, establishes both the central familial conflict and the broader societal tension. This initial exposition effectively grounds the narrative, demonstrating that Dek's challenges are not merely physical but deeply intertwined with issues of identity, honor, and cultural expectation. Dek's exile is not arbitrary, it is a result of failing a traditional Yautja rite of passage, emphasizing the franchise's long-standing theme that survival is inseparable from cultural competency. The journey from Yautja Prime to Jenna is depicted as both literal and metaphorical. Dek's traversal through space and hostile terrain mirrors his internal struggle to reconcile personal morality with societal norms. His initial encounters with alien species on Jenna are fraught with peril, as the planet itself functions as a complex character with its own survival imperatives. These early sequences establish the stakes. Jenna is not merely a hunting ground but a test of intellect, resilience, and adaptability. Each encounter requires Dec to employ not only his physical capabilities but also tactical acumen, demonstrating a depth of strategy that contrasts with prior Predator depictions, where brute force often dominated. The Kalisk, introduced as an almost mythic entity within Yautja lore, embodies the ultimate challenge for Dec. The creature's portrayal emphasizes the evolutionary sophistication of Jenna's ecosystem. It possesses defensive adaptations, predatory instincts, and a cognitive awareness that forces Dec to innovate continually. The Kalisk is not a mindless predator. Its intelligence and behavior suggest a level of sentience comparable to the Yautja themselves. The narrative tension is heightened when the Kalisk's offspring, Bud, is revealed, introducing ethical and emotional layers that question the morality of predation and hunting practices. Dec's decision-making during these sequences underscores the film's exploration of empathy and ethical responsibility, as he must balance the desire for honor against the moral imperative of protecting life where possible. Thaia's introduction marks a pivotal narrative shift, introducing themes of trust, interdependence, and the ethical use of technology. As a damaged Weyland-Yutani synthetic, she embodies both vulnerability and strategic capability. The juxtaposition of her physical limitations with her intellectual contributions establishes a dynamic where Dec's traditional strength is complemented by Thaia's analytical prowess. Their evolving relationship highlights the film's focus on cooperation and moral discernment in a universe that often glorifies survival of the fittest. Tessa, her twin sister, serves as a narrative foil. Aggressive, corporate-aligned, and ethically inflexible, she represents the potential dangers of technology and power divorced from empathy. The conflict between the twins encapsulates broader themes of morality, ethical responsibility, and the consequences of prioritizing efficiency or power over compassion. Combat sequences in Badlands are meticulously choreographed, balancing cinematic spectacle with narrative significance. Dec's encounters with both the Kalisk and hostile alien fauna demonstrate a multi-layered approach to conflict, stealth, strategic manipulation of terrain, and the precise deployment of predator weaponry, including plasma casters, wrist blades, and advanced tracking devices. These sequences highlight the predator's intelligence and tactical ingenuity, emphasizing that success in Yautja society is contingent upon both physical prowess and cognitive skill. The film's visual design reinforces this perspective. Careful framing, use of environmental obstacles, and dynamic camera angles convey the scale and danger of each encounter while maintaining clarity in complex action sequences. Jenna's ecosystem is rendered with exceptional attention to detail. Flora and fauna are portrayed not as static set pieces but as active participants in the narrative. Each organism demonstrates unique behaviors, survival strategies, and ecological roles, reinforcing the film's underlying themes of interdependence and adaptation. The Kalisk, Bud, and other creatures are integrated seamlessly into this ecosystem, creating a believable and immersive alien world. These environmental considerations underscore a recurring thematic concern: survival is inseparable from understanding, respect, and adaptation to one's surroundings. Dec's navigation of this ecosystem is emblematic of the broader narrative arc. Personal growth is achieved not through dominance alone but through observation, learning, and cooperation. The climax, encompassing both the confrontation with the Kalisk and the subsequent showdown with Njor, merges physical spectacle with ethical complexity. Dec's strategies during these sequences are informed by experience, observation, and moral judgment, illustrating the film's commitment to character-driven action. The intervention of Bud, coupled with Thaia's tactical guidance, reinforces the narrative's emphasis on collaboration and ethical decision-making. These sequences are punctuated by visual storytelling that conveys scale, danger, and emotional weight, with cutter cinematography capturing both intimate moments of character expression and vast, perilous landscapes. The film's score, composed by Shackner and Wallfish, complements these narrative elements by dynamically responding to tension, emotional resonance, and thematic development. Music underscores Dec's personal evolution, heightens suspense during complex action sequences, and accentuates the alien environment's inherent danger. Sound design similarly enhances immersion, with environmental cues, alien vocalizations, and predator technology effects integrated seamlessly to create a rich auditory tapestry. Yautja culture is examined in greater detail than in previous films. Rituals of hunting, honor, and familial expectation are portrayed not as peripheral elements but as central to narrative motivation and conflict. Deck's challenges illustrate the tension between traditional authority and individual morality, suggesting that evolution and adaptability, both personal and cultural, are necessary for survival. This exploration positions Badlands as not only a cinematic spectacle but also a cultural study within the context of science fiction, inviting reflection on broader philosophical themes. The integration of Weyland-Yutani elements situates the film within a larger intertextual universe, connecting predator and alien mythologies. Synthetics such as Thaya and Tessa provide narrative bridges, enabling thematic exploration of artificial intelligence, corporate ethics, and the consequences of technological overreach. These elements are employed thoughtfully, maintaining narrative coherence while allowing room for potential cross-franchise exploration in future installments. Marketing and audience engagement were carefully orchestrated to balance intrigue, exposition, and narrative surprise. Trailers and promotional material highlighted key thematic elements, the immersive alien environment, and the redefined role of the predator protagonist, generating anticipation and critical discussion prior to release. Audience reception has been overwhelmingly positive, with critical appraisal highlighting the film's innovative narrative, immersive world-building, and successful expansion of predator mythology. The ethical and philosophical depth, coupled with cinematic spectacle, has established Badlands as a benchmark within the franchise. Predator: Badlands represents a bold reimagining within the Predator franchise, shifting the narrative focus from humans under threat to a young predator itself. The film gives voice, motivation, and emotional depth to one of cinema's most iconic alien hunters. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and co-written with Patrick Eisen, the movie is a character-driven tale set on an alien world, exploring predator lore, exile, identity, survival, and unlikely alliances. The story follows Deck, a young Yautja who is considered the runt of his clan. Exiled and marginalized, Deck seeks validation, striving to prove his worth in a society where strength and honor are paramount. His journey becomes complicated when he crash lands on a distant, hostile planet filled with dangerous flora, monstrous fauna, and unforgiving environmental conditions. The planet itself serves as both a physical and symbolic challenge, testing Deck's strength, wit, and perseverance. Deck's exile is not only a physical separation but an emotional trial. He is looked down upon by his father, the clan leader, who openly regards him as unworthy. Deck's inner struggle, his desire for recognition, and the need to define himself drive the narrative forward. The film humanizes the predator, giving him vulnerabilities, hopes, and a deeply personal stake in his journey. On this alien world, Deck encounters Thaya, a damaged synthetic android who is physically impaired and reliant on Deck for mobility. Their alliance forms the heart of the story, balancing physical protection with intelligence and strategy. Thaya brings insight, emotional depth, and knowledge that Deck cannot access alone. The two form a symbiotic partnership as they navigate the planet's dangers and confront monstrous creatures, other predators, and the ultimate adversary that symbolizes Deck's greatest challenge. Thematically, Predator: Badlands explores exile, belonging, strength, and growth. Deck's journey is one of self-discovery. Strength is not only physical but moral and emotional. His alliance with Thaya highlights trust, empathy, and interdependence. Together, they confront both external and internal threats, learning and evolving as their bond deepens. The production of the film is ambitious, combining practical effects with extensive visual effects to bring the alien world and its inhabitants to life. The cinematography emphasizes both scale and intimacy, capturing the harshness of the alien environment and the personal stakes of Deck and Thaya's journey. The landscapes, ranging from barren wastelands to lush alien forests, create a sense of wonder and danger, emphasizing the isolation and intensity of the adventure. The predator language is fully developed in this film, giving cultural depth and authenticity to the Yautja. This world-building elevates the narrative, portraying the Predator as a society with its own hierarchies, rites of passage, and social codes. Deck's exile and trials take on greater significance against this cultural backdrop, making the story both personal and epic. The PG-13 rating of the film reflects a creative choice. By removing human characters, the violence is depicted in ways that are intense yet accessible. The alien creatures and battles are stylized, allowing for spectacle without graphic human gore. This choice broadens the audience while maintaining the franchise's signature intensity. The narrative structure begins with Deck's struggle for survival on the alien planet, learning the terrain, evading or confronting threats, and adapting to a harsh environment. As the story progresses, it evolves into a journey of confrontation, personal growth, and eventual understanding of the Predator world. The emotional arc of Deck and Thaia's partnership provides depth, balancing action with character development. Production design and cinematography play a critical role in conveying narrative and thematic elements. Deck's armor and weaponry are meticulously detailed, reflecting both traditional Predator aesthetics and his unique status as an outcast. These elements communicate character, social position, and combat philosophy without dialogue. Similarly, Thaia's design emphasizes vulnerability and resilience, signaling her dependence on Deck while also highlighting her intelligence and resourcefulness. The visual language extends to the environment, creatures, and action sequences, creating a coherent and immersive cinematic world that supports the story and reinforces its emotional beats. Music and sound design enhance both tension and emotion. The score alternates between sweeping orchestral passages that evoke the grandeur and danger of the alien world and subtle, rhythmic motifs that underscore intimate moments between Deck and Thaia. Sound effects are carefully designed to give life to the alien fauna, Predator technology, and environmental hazards, heightening immersion. The combination of music and sound reinforces the film's dual focus on spectacle and character, ensuring that both action sequences and quieter moments resonate with the audience. Deck's initial days on the alien planet are fraught with challenges that test both his physical and mental resilience. The terrain is unpredictable, ranging from jagged cliffs and barren deserts to dense, alien forests teeming with unseen predators. Every step is a potential threat, forcing Deck to rely on instinct, cunning, and an emerging sense of strategy. The planet's ecosystem is not merely hostile for spectacle, it mirrors Deck's internal struggle, reflecting his feelings of exile and vulnerability. The more dangerous the environment becomes, the more he grows in confidence and understanding of his own capabilities. Thaia's presence on this journey is transformative for Deck. Initially, their interaction is transactional, Deck carries her, protects her, and follows her guidance when necessary. However, as they endure trials together, a deeper bond develops, rooted in trust, mutual dependence, and shared hardship. Thaia's intelligence and knowledge complement Deck's physical prowess, creating a dynamic partnership where neither is truly dominant. Their alliance introduces emotional stakes that transcend the typical predator-prey relationship traditionally central to the franchise. It is through their connection that the film explores themes of empathy, loyalty, and the unexpected ways relationships can shape individuals, even across species or artificial life. The alien creatures they encounter vary in size, behavior, and threat level. Some are massive apex predators, towering over Deck and presenting a near insurmountable challenge, while others are smaller, quicker, and cunning, forcing Deck to adapt his combat strategies. These encounters are not only thrilling action sequences but also serve as narrative devices that reinforce character development. Deck's resourcefulness is tested, his patience challenged, and his moral judgment explored as he confronts these creatures. In some instances, he must choose between survival and compassion, illustrating a complexity rarely afforded to characters in previous Predator films. Throughout the journey, the planet itself becomes a character. Its hazards, raging storms, toxic swamps, volcanic regions, and labyrinthine cave systems, demand both caution and creativity. Deck learns to interpret subtle environmental cues, developing a form of alien intuition that mirrors human survival instincts but filtered through Yautja physiology. The visual design emphasizes both the beauty and danger of the alien world, with bioluminescent plants, otherworldly rock formations, and vast, alien vistas that create a sense of scale and immersion. This design work reinforces the narrative's emphasis on isolation and survival, making every encounter feel grounded and high-stakes. The apex adversary that Dek and Thaya face serves as a narrative and thematic climax. It is not merely a monstrous creature to be defeated, but a symbol of Dek's ultimate challenge, confronting the limits of his strength, intelligence, and courage. This adversary forces Dek to question what it means to be a warrior, what constitutes honor, and whether survival alone is enough to earn a place within Yautja society. The confrontation is structured not just as a battle of physicality but as a test of wit, perseverance, and emotional growth, culminating in a sequence that emphasizes character over spectacle while still delivering intense visual action. Interwoven with these external threats is the political and cultural context of Yautja society. The film explores the complex hierarchies and codes that govern predator behavior, including rites of passage, clan loyalty, and notions of strength and weakness. Dek's exile is not simply punishment, it is a societal judgment with profound personal implications. Throughout the narrative, Dek is confronted with the expectations and traditions of his species, which challenge his sense of identity and purpose. The film delves into Yautja culture with unprecedented depth, portraying it as a civilization with intricate customs, ethical dilemmas, and internal politics rather than a one-dimensional alien hunter trope. The visual and narrative design of Predator technology is another key element. Dek's armor, weapons, and tools are depicted in detail, reflecting both cultural symbolism and practical functionality. The film balances traditional Predator aesthetics, such as cloaking devices, plasma casters, and retractable blades, with innovations designed to reflect Dek's unique circumstances as an outcast. This attention to detail reinforces the authenticity of the Yautja world, making their society feel lived in and technologically consistent. Thaya's character design also carries narrative weight. As a damaged synthetic, she embodies both vulnerability and resilience. Her physical limitations require dependence on Dek, but her intellectual capabilities often guide their survival strategies. Through her, the film explores themes of agency, autonomy, and the ethics of artificial life. The juxtaposition of Dek's organic strength and Thaya's synthetic intelligence creates a dual narrative arc where each character's growth is contingent upon the other, emphasizing the film's central message about interdependence and trust. The narrative also incorporates subtle environmental storytelling, where every location communicates history and purpose. Ancient ruins, predator markings, and remnants of past conflicts hint at the planet's layered past, enriching the viewer's understanding of the ecosystem and the stakes of Dek's journey. These details reward attentive audiences and reinforce the film's commitment to immersive world-building. Musically, the score underlines both emotional depth and narrative tension. The compositions shift fluidly between sweeping, cinematic themes that emphasize the alien planet's grandeur and quieter, reflective motifs that highlight the evolving bond between Dek and Thaya. Rhythmic elements accentuate action sequences, heightening tension and creating a visceral connection to the characters' experiences. The music serves as both an emotional guide and a structural framework for the story, reinforcing narrative arcs and enhancing audience engagement. The film's pacing is deliberately structured to balance survival sequences, character development, and high-stakes action. The initial sequences emphasize isolation and environmental threat, creating a sense of suspense and anticipation. Midway, the story deepens with the development of Dek and Thaya's relationship, exploration of Yautja cultural codes, and introduction of complex antagonists. The climax delivers both narrative and emotional resolution, combining strategic confrontation, personal triumph, and thematic closure. This pacing ensures that audiences remain engaged throughout, experiencing a layered story rather than a series of disconnected action set pieces. By centering the narrative on a predator protagonist, Predator, Badlands redefines traditional franchise dynamics. The film examines themes traditionally reserved for human characters, identity, exile, loyalty, and moral growth, but through the lens of an alien species. This perspective shift allows for a fresh exploration of familiar ideas, highlighting the universality of certain experiences while emphasizing the distinctiveness of the Yautja. The film demonstrates that even beings traditionally depicted as monstrous can possess complexity, vulnerability, and capacity for connection. The opening sequences of Predator, Badlands immediately immerse the audience in the perilous alien world of Jenna. Dek's arrival is fraught with tension, as the planet's unpredictable climate, treacherous terrain, and hostile fauna create a constant threat. Each step of his journey emphasizes survival not just as a physical challenge but as a test of observation, adaptability, and intelligence. The early scenes showcase Dek navigating jagged cliffs, dense alien forests, and subterranean caverns teeming with predatory creatures. Here, the film excels in world building. Every environment is rendered with visual and narrative purpose, reflecting the interconnectedness of Jenna's ecosystem. These sequences are not mere spectacle but formative experiences, shaping Dek's tactical approach and moral reasoning. The meticulous attention to detail in creature design, behavior, and interaction with the environment sets a high bar for science fiction cinema and reinforces the narrative's emphasis on the sophistication of alien life. A pivotal early encounter involves Dek's confrontation with a predatory plant species, which uses camouflage tendrils to ambush prey. This sequence demonstrates Dek's reliance on both instinct and strategy, as he observes the creature's behavior, sets traps, and exploits environmental features to gain the upper hand. The scene exemplifies the film's approach to action. It is cerebral as well as physical, rewarding intelligence and adaptability. The visual effects here are particularly noteworthy, blending practical effects with CGI to create a tactile, believable threat that interacts seamlessly with Dek's movements. This combination of realism and imaginative design enhances immersion and reinforces the theme that survival depends on understanding one's surroundings. The introduction of Thaya adds another layer of narrative complexity. Initially, Thaya is depicted as physically compromised, reliant on Dek for mobility, yet possessing sharp intelligence and strategic foresight. Their first collaborative encounters highlight the evolving dynamics of trust and interdependence. Thaya provides crucial information about Jenna's ecosystem, enemy patterns, and the Kalisk's behavior, while Dek contributes physical prowess and combat expertise. This partnership illustrates one of the film's central ethical themes: strength and survival are maximized when diverse abilities and perspectives are integrated, challenging the franchise's historical focus on singular predator dominance. The tension between Thaya and Tessa, her corporate-aligned twin, further reinforces this ethical exploration, contrasting empathy-driven cooperation with ruthless self-interest. As Dek progresses deeper into Jenna, he encounters the Kalisk, whose initial appearances are framed to maximize suspense and thematic resonance. The creature is depicted as nearly invincible, agile, and highly intelligent, reflecting an ecosystem that operates on intricate evolutionary principles. Dek's strategy to confront the Kalisk involves detailed observation, environmental manipulation, and judicious use of predator technology, including plasma casters, wrist blades, and specialized cloaking devices. The sequences are framed with dynamic camera angles, emphasizing scale, danger, and the predator's tactical ingenuity. The Kalisk's behaviors and eventual revelation as a parent to Bud provide an emotional dimension rarely explored in the franchise, challenging conventional predator-prey relationships and emphasizing themes of empathy, familial bonds, and ethical responsibility. The climactic confrontation between Dek and the Kalisk's adult form represents both narrative and philosophical culmination. Dek must balance his desire for recognition and honor with moral consideration for Bud, the creature's offspring. This duality underscores one of the film's central messages: true mastery is achieved not solely through force but through understanding, compassion, and strategic foresight.